I always thought I raised my daughter right. Kindness, accountability, grace. Those were the pillars of our small family after her father died when she was 6. I worked 3 jobs, sold my wedding ring to pay for her braces, skipped meals so she could go on school trips, and spent nights rubbing her back during her anxiety spells while pretending mine wasn't breaking from exhaustion. But love, real love, doesn't always guarantee loyalty. I learned that the hard way the day I saw my funeral fund turned into a sun-drenched Instagram reel from the Bahamas. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. My name is Margaret Bennett. I'm 67 years old, and recently I was diagnosed with a heart condition that's more serious than I like to admit out loud. I had started putting aside money for my final arrangements, not because I was obsessed with death, but because I didn't want to be a burden to my daughter, Claire. I wanted her to have peace after I was gone. But peace, apparently, wasn't on her wish list. Sunsets and champagne toasts in Santorini were. It started subtly. Claire was always too busy to check in. Then one day she called, not to ask how I was feeling, but to borrow money for a venue deposit. She cried, said she and her fiancé Blake were in a pinch. "It's either this or postpone the wedding, Mom." I gave her access to the fund, every last cent. I even threw in the $300 I had stashed in my Bible, the emergency money meant for medications. 2 months later, I opened Instagram. There was Claire in a bikini, laughing with her girlfriends, holding a cocktail. The caption? Bachelorette dream trip. Buy single life. I blinked, scrolled. Video after video. Her dancing on yachts, kissing strangers' cheeks, snorkeling, sipping bubbly like it was air. The worst part? She wasn't even ashamed. She had posted a video with the caption, YOLO, thanks for the memories, Mom. I stared at it for so long the screen dimmed. When I called her, she laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, Mom, don't be dramatic. You weren't using it. You're still alive." I nearly dropped the phone. She tried to spin it, saying the wedding was stressful and this was her only chance to feel free. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply said, "You're right, Claire. I am still alive." Then I hung up and started planning. That night, I went into my attic and found the dusty blue suitcase I hadn't touched in 22 years. I opened it and smelled old lavender sachets and dreams long buried. Then I made a few phone calls. I knew I had one card left to play, and I was going to play it with style. She didn't know I'd been talking to a man named Charles, a kind soul I met at the community center last spring. Widowed, warm, a jazz pianist with a crooked smile. We had coffee every Thursday, slow danced in the park when no one was watching, and talked about Italy like it was a second chance waiting for us both. But I never let myself believe in it, until Claire gave me a reason to. And so, the invitations went out. My name wasn't on the RSVP list, intentionally. The wedding day arrived with all the glitter and arrogance Claire adored. The ballroom shimmered in gold. Champagne flowed. Guests wore smiles like armor. Claire wore her white gown like a victory flag. She didn't know I was even in the building. I had timed it perfectly. As the DJ called for toasts and the lights dimmed, a staff member wheeled out a covered easel. The MC tapped the mic. "A special announcement," he said, confused, "from the mother of the bride." Gasps rippled across the floor. I stepped forward. The spotlight hit me. Claire's jaw dropped. Blake looked like he'd seen a ghost. I smiled, not wide, not angry, just calm. Then I pulled the cloth off the easel, revealing a framed photo of Charles and me on the Amalfi Coast, with a handwritten note beneath it. "Claire, I may not be dead, but my love life just came alive. Charles and I eloped last week, and we're off to Venice tonight, with the honeymoon fund, the one you didn't steal." Silence. Then whispers, then laughter. Then Claire screamed. But I was already walking away, heels clicking like applause, suitcase in hand. As I reached the exit, I whispered to the nearest guest, "She got the wedding, I got freedom." And that, my dear, was the beginning of my second life. The drive to the airport felt like the first deep breath I'd taken in years. Charles was already waiting by the gate, holding a bouquet of gardenias, my favorite, even though I'd never told him. "You look radiant," he said with a wink. I laughed. That's what revenge and redemption do to a woman. On the plane, I turned off my phone. Not a single part of me wanted to see the chaos unfolding at the wedding reception. Claire would be melting down, no doubt. I imagined her frantically trying to explain why her mother just hijacked her big day. But it wasn't hijacking. It was justice. Charles and I landed in Venice under a rose-stained sky. We wandered through quiet alleyways, took a gondola down the Grand Canal, and toasted to new beginnings over candlelight and pasta so good it made me tear up. For the first time in decades, I wasn't somebody's mother, somebody's burden, somebody's emergency wallet. I was just me. I did receive one message during that trip, a short, bitter text from Claire. "You humiliated me. Don't expect forgiveness." I didn't reply. I just posted a single photo of Charles kissing my hand on a balcony in Venice, captioned, "Grief doesn't have to wait until you're gone to be felt. Some daughters bury their mothers while they're still breathing." Then I put the phone down and took another bite of tiramisu. 3 weeks after our Venetian honeymoon, I returned to a quiet home, now filled with sunlight instead of shadows. The mail was stacked high, mostly sympathy cards from people who hadn't even been invited to the wedding. Word travels fast in this town, especially when someone like Claire throws a tantrum so loud it echoes through every chandeliered ballroom from here to the county line. Apparently, she tried to continue the wedding after I walked out, but nothing went according to plan. The florist didn't deliver the backup bouquets she'd ordered because payment hadn't cleared. Turns out she used my funeral fund as collateral, and the florist was a friend of mine. The DJ played the wrong song when she walked down the aisle, Britney Spears instead of Beethoven, and her fiancé's mother walked out, calling it all a farce. She never saw the marriage license. I'd taken it from the wedding planners folder days earlier. Just slipped it into my purse during a dress fitting. No license, no marriage. She was too distracted trying to outshine the scandal to notice. The next few months were eerily silent. Claire didn't call, didn't write. I thought she might show up on my doorstep, but instead, she sent a lawyer. He handed me a cease and desist letter claiming I'd emotionally sabotaged her future. I handed him a teacup and smiled. "Tell Claire she can have the rest of the funeral fund receipts if she wants. I itemized every margarita and nightclub cover fee. Maybe she can use them as confetti at her next engagement." I wasn't bitter. I was clean. For the first time, my soul didn't feel bruised from bending to a daughter who only saw me as a backup plan, a vault, a ghost she refused to acknowledge until she needed something. Weeks later, a knock came at my door. It was Claire. Her mascara was smudged. Her lips trembled. She had lost weight, or maybe just lost the illusion that kept her inflated. "I didn't mean for things to go that far," she whispered. I let her in, but I didn't let her off the hook. "You meant every word you didn't say, Claire. Every time you ignored me, every time you rolled your eyes when I coughed too loud, walked too slow, or reminded you that I once mattered." She cried. I didn't. And then, with all the grace I could gather, I stood up, walked into the living room, and handed her a box. Inside it was a letter. Not bitter. Just true. "Dear Claire, I raised you with love, not with a ledger. I wore the same dress to your school plays for years so you could have dance lessons. I went without heat some nights so you could have college books. I held your hair when you were sick and your secrets when you were cruel. But you used my funeral fund to toast to your Bachelorette freedom. You buried me in champagne before I could choose my own final chapter. I hope the bubbles were worth it. This is me choosing my story now. And in mine, I am alive, without you." She left, quietly, and this time, I didn't wonder if she'd come back. 2 months later, I published a memoir. Title, Alive Before the Funeral. It sold out its first print run in a week. The final chapter was titled, The Day I Announced My Honeymoon at My Daughter's Wedding. And I didn't dedicate the book to Claire. I dedicated it to every woman who was told her life was over before she said it was. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's living well enough to be remembered for everything they tried to erase. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video.